Hello, this is Jessica Ball with the Jessica Ball team, REMAX Traders Unlimited, and I want to answer the question, what is the difference between an appraisal and an inspection? Because they are two very different things. So let's start with the inspection. So I'm, and disclaimer here, I'm speaking in terms of the contract and typical things that occur on the transactions in the area where I work, which is the Central Illinois area, Peoria area. I'm part of the Peoria Area Association of Realtors. So with inspection and also an appraisal, those are both considered contingencies. So things that an offer is contingent on. So an offer, a buyer saying, we will pay $100,000 for this property contingent on this inspection and it passing appraisal. So what does that mean? So what that means is with the inspection, the buyer is going to choose the inspector that they want to come out and look at the property. And this inspection, it is not necessarily in our area and per our contract, it's not necessarily checking to see if it's code. It's not a building inspector. Basically, they're looking at health and safety items and checking to see whether things are defective or not defective, such as, is this outlet working? Does the furnace kick on and heat to an adequate temperature that it's supposed to? Does the air conditioner kick on and cool to an adequate temperature? Things like that is what they're looking to accomplish, and they have somewhat of a checklist items that they go through, and that is something that the buyer chooses, that inspector, to do that. And buyers can choose the different inspections that they have as well, and there's different types of inspections, which will be another video. And to shed a little bit of light on that, there can be a radon inspection, a fireplace inspection, a pool inspection if there's a pool, mold inspection, more specialty inspections out there, termite inspection. So that was what the inspector does. They go out and they look at the property, and they are hired by the buyer to do that. And then you have the appraisal over here, and the appraisal is if there's two things that can happen with an appraisal. One, if it is a cash deal, then the buyer may choose to have it contingent on an appraisal because they want to know, hey, I want to know based on some of the other sales prices and comps in the area, what does an appraisal say? I've got my agent's information here that they've provided. I also want to know what an appraiser thinks. And so they may hire an appraiser to do that. So if it's a cash deal, the buyer can hire an appraiser to do that for them. Now, if it's a finance deal, then the lender is going to require the appraisal to be done. When it's a cash deal, it's the buyer's choice whether they want an appraisal done or not. It's certainly not required. With the financing, the appraisal is going to be required. There's a tiny percentage out there that it's not required, and that's just kind of up to the lender. But I would say in most cases, the lender is going to require that appraisal to be done, and the lender does not even get to pick who that appraiser is. So the buyer doesn't get to pick who the appraiser is, the seller doesn't get to pick who the appraiser is, and the lender doesn't get to pick either. They just kind of send out that request to the appraisers that are part of their bank's network or their lending institution's network, and then that's kind of assigned randomly to that appraiser, and who will then go out and do that appraisal. And with the appraisal, they're determining, is the value of this house appropriate for the sales price? Does the comps in the area, the comparable properties, sorry, I said comps, but not everyone knows what comps mean. That's kind of a realtor lingo there. When a realtor says a comp, we're meaning a comparable property. So for example, a comp would be if we have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch with a basement in the same school district as another 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch with a basement, and built in similar years, have similar updates. They're probably going to be roughly the same price, and they're going to be considered to be comparables. So we'll call them comps. What would not be a comp is, for example, a farmhouse out on 5 acres, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, several outbuildings, and then compare it to a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, 900 square feet in town. Those are just two completely different properties. You can't even compare them. So no matter how they could be decorated the exact same, have the exact same kitchen sink and countertop, but those are just different properties. And so an appraiser is going to look at and make sure that for the bank that the bank fronting the money on this house for the loan, that it is secured in the sense of this property is worth what the buyer has agreed to pay. Now, what I'm not getting into in this video is what happens if that price that the appraiser comes up with does not match what the buyer said he or she was going to pay. Let's say it came under that. That'll be another video. And then also what happens if there are defects or issues found in-house because of the inspection report. That's a whole other video, maybe a series of videos to go over that. But I just wanted to explain the difference between an appraisal and an inspection, because a lot of times I get the question, hey, is this gonna pass the appraiser's inspection? And they're different things. Now, what some people may be thinking about when they say that is, if depending on the loan that you're getting, let's say for example a VA loan or an FHA loan or USDA rural loan, so those are all some of the government subsidized loans, and so they do have a component of their appraisal that would fall under kind of an inspection. They're going to look at a few safety items, and so sometimes there may be a checklist of things that come back after an appraisal that say, hey, in order for us to support this price of this house, these checklist items need to be done. Some of the most recent ones I've seen is these smoke and carbon monoxide detectors need to be installed. These outlets need to have junction box put on them. They were just exposed wires and exposed outlets. Things such as that may come back as repairs that need to be done in order for the bank or the appraiser to check off on that appraisal price for the bank. So there is a little bit of, I think, confusion there when it comes to inspection and appraisal. But typically speaking, they're two different things. And you can have, and you know, let's say you do have an FHA loan, and that appraiser is going to go out and they are going to check a few of those things. But you can still have a full inspection done by an inspector where they're just looking at those items and not comparing the house prices. And looking for support there, so with the comps. So two different things, and I thought I would explain that. So any questions, feel free to reach out to me.